I remember the night fear took hold of Bethlehem, a silence heavy enough to warn the soul. Mary slept beside the child, his breathing soft against the cool night air, when the dream came upon me suddenly and urgently, a warning from God. Rise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child, to destroy him. Matthew 2:13. I awoke with my heart pounding. I did not question the message. I had learned not to. I shook Mary gently. "We must leave," I whispered. "Now." There was no time to gather much, no time to say goodbye. I wrapped Jesus in cloth while Mary prepared what little we owned. Every sound felt sharper than it should. Every creak of the door, every breath, every movement. Then, in the distance, boots, marching, growing closer. Herod's soldiers. The rumors had been true. The king feared a child, a threat to his throne. He would spill innocent blood to silence a prophecy he could not control. We slipped into the shadows of the alleyways, moving quietly between stone walls and market stalls. I held Jesus close to my chest, his warmth fragile against the cold night air. Then it began. Scream. Louder and louder. Cries filled the streets, voices of mothers, fathers, children, terror echoing through Bethlehem. They were carrying out slaughter. Then Herod sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem, and in all that region who were 2 years old or under. Matthew 2:16. Mary covered her mouth to keep from crying out. I could not stop to mourn, not yet. Every heartbeat meant distance, every step meant life. Mary trembled beside me. I held her upright, though my strength felt as fragile as the night around us. We reached the edge of the town. Behind us, torches glowed like fire crawling across rooftops. I knew what was happening, and I could not stop it. But God had commanded me to protect this child, the one entrusted to my care. We traveled the road toward Egypt, into uncertainty, into a land not our own. The path was harsh, the night bitter, but the farther we walked, the quieter the world became. Behind us, sorrow. Ahead of us, freedom. And I knew the words of the prophets were unfolding even as we walked. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Out of Egypt I called my son. Matthew 2:14-15, Hosea 11:1. Mary walked beside me, steadfast and silent, cradling Jesus as dawn began to touch the horizon. He opened his eyes, full of life and hope. Somewhere behind us, mothers wept, just as the prophet had spoken. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping in loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children, because they are no more. Matthew 2:18, Jeremiah 31:15. And I carried that grief with me, with every step, knowing God had placed upon me a responsibility greater than fear, a responsibility upon which the hope of the world depends on. My parents were gone for the weekend. Nothing unusual about that. They trusted me. I was the older brother, responsible, careful. It was just my younger brother and me alone in the house, a place we had lived in for years, a place that had never once felt unsafe, until that night. It was a quiet Friday evening. The lights were on, the TV murmuring in the background. Then came the knock that pulled my attention away from everything else. My brother looked at me, his eyes wide, waiting for my reaction. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I counted the seconds in my head, hoping it was nothing, hoping it wouldn't come again. It did. Same force, clearly meant to get our attention. I stood up slowly and walked toward the front door, every step feeling heavier than the last. I leaned toward the peephole. "Do you see anything?" my brother whispered. I shook my head. No, I could not reach, so we dragged a chair toward the door, slowly, inch by inch. The scraping of the legs against the floor sounded deafening, like the house was warning us to stop. My hands were shaking as I climbed onto the chair, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might give me away. I leaned forward again, and then I saw it. A person, not standing, in a sleep position, floating. Their body was suspended inches from the door, perfectly still, arms at their sides, head tilted slightly forward, eyes closed. No rope, no wires, no support, just levitating. My breath caught in my throat, every muscle in my body locked. My brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. Impossible, I said softly. My brother climbed up behind me, desperate to see for himself. The moment his eyes reached the peephole, he screamed, a sound I had never heard from him before, and fell backward. The chair tipped. He hit the floor hard, gasping and shaking. I jumped down and helped him up, my hands numb, my legs barely holding me. When we looked again, the figure was gone. No footsteps, no retreat, no explanation, just empty darkness. How could that be? There was no logical explanation to what we just saw. We knew, deep down, that whatever we had seen was spiritual, and that no one would ever believe us. So, we did the only thing that made sense. We began to pray. We asked God to protect us and to cover our home. That night passed. The weekend ended. Our parents came home, and we told them everything. To our surprise, they believed us and stood with us in prayer. Psalm 121, 7-8. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. I had only lived in the new apartment for 12 days when the package arrived. The building was quiet, one of those older complexes where the hallways echo and every door feel too close to the others. I hadn't given my address to anyone yet, so when I came home that night and saw the box sitting neatly outside my door, I stopped walking. No delivery sticker, no tracking code, no return label, just my name. I told myself it was nothing, maybe a clerical error, but the deeper truth sat heavy in the back of my mind. Nobody should have known I lived here yet. I carried the box inside. The cardboard was smooth, new, not crushed, not weathered, like it had been placed gently, intentionally. I set it on my kitchen table and just stared at it for a minute, replaying conversations in my head. Had I given my address to someone and forgotten? No, I knew I hadn't. Still, I opened it. Inside was exactly what I had wanted. The one thing I had been talking about for weeks. The thing I mentioned casually to people in passing, almost like a wish more than a plan. A rare, limited edition leather journal. The exact brand, the exact color, the exact stitching, down to the faint gold trim along the spine. I froze, because I remembered every single conversation where I had mentioned it. At work, on the phone, in an elevator, at a lunch table. Different places, different people, but not one of them knew where I lived. I never shared my address, not once. The journal rested inside the box, wrapped carefully in tissue paper. My heart kicked harder. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone knew me, knew what I wanted, knew where I lived, and wanted me to know that they knew. I turned the journal over in my hands. The leather was smooth and cold. When I opened it, the first page was blank, untouched, except for one sentence written softly in pencil at the top corner. Now you can begin. The writing didn't match the name on the box. Actually, it didn't match anyone's writing I knew. That's when I did what anyone would do. I started tracing back my steps. I messaged everyone I could remember mentioning the journal to. Hey, did you send me something? Most responded with confusion. A few hadn't even remembered the conversation. One person asked how I liked the new place. I hadn't told them I moved. Each response made the apartment feel smaller. Hours passed. More messages. More dead ends. No one admitted to it. No one knew. Or they wouldn't say. When the replies finally stopped coming, the silence settled. It felt as if the room itself was listening. I went back to the journal, set it on the table, tried to ignore it. But every time I walked past it, I felt watched. I put the journal back in the box and slid it into a cabinet. I didn't throw it away. I couldn't, because the longer I sat alone in that quiet apartment, the more it weighed heavily on me.